How is everybody doing? Please share something. For the benefit of all beings.
We talked yesterday, or Ugi said that he is doing it in a different way with at first with the rainbow jewel and then with the boomies. And the way he is doing it is for me more powerful. If we have at first the diamond and then the boomies, and the boomies come in, the energy from the boomies, and then the rainbows come out. Just for me, more power than the other way. For me, it works very well.
Okay.
I'm in a surrounding here where I can't shout loud now. And I remember that you said one can shout the avam and the hung pets also inwardly. And I did. And I can confess that the effect is nearly similar.
Nearly similar.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, this vibration inside of the body.
Sometimes, it was some time ago, I noticed we had a weekend training and somebody was using a pillow, like a couch pillow, like taking this and then shouting. So I don't know if that person was in a hotel room or visiting family or something, but all the adjustments we can use. Something that I was thinking, maybe I'll share something. Almost 20 years ago, like I started my meditation practice with Zen Buddhism 18 years ago. 18 and a half years ago, in January of 2003. And also from January 2003 I began to study Shiatsu. Shiatsu is the Japanese massage style that is based on traditional Chinese medicine. So there is use of acupuncture points, and as a massage practice it's very different from classical massage or sports massage. Like if you go and have a massage treatment by a Western massage therapist, the practice of it and the effect of it is very different. Shiatsu is superb in this sense. It doesn't. You don't feel sore or you don't feel pain after the treatment like you do if you go to classical or sports masseur. And it's just an excellent way to do massage and healing, both as a practitioner as well as to receive it. It's a wonderful experience because I've discussed throughout the years a little bit about body alignment, how you use your body, whether it's yoga, whether it's qigong, like we have done on this retreat a little bit, or whether it's shiatsu. So it has the same body alignment principles, same principles principle of breathing, simplicity, empty mind as the rest of Asian arts. And those, of course, are absent in Western massage. So anyway, I began to study Shiatsu in 2003, and I got my diploma in late 2003 after a year's course. And I did Shiatsu professionally for, I've done it for maybe 3.5 years altogether, supporting myself as a Shiatsu masseur, Shiatsu therapist. And this is kind of current topic because, my dear teacher is John Lewis. Did I mention him before on this retreat? I think I did. So John is like a senior Shiatsu champ. And then Lama Tina was telling me early this year or late last year or around those times that she would like to do some Shiatsu. And I love Shiatsu so much that I've been kind of getting back to it for years and years, but I've been preoccupied with family life, health problems, and all the Dharma work, so I just didn't have time for it. But Tina told me this, and then I arranged for her to study with John. John lives in Finland, so he's been here for 35-40 years at least. And so I arranged her to study with him. And Tina was visiting me early this retreat, and we did some Shiatsu, and I gave her tips for her study, because I've also taught Shiatsu at some point. But something that is relevant to Pemago, what I was thinking was that one of John Lewis's Shiatsu teacher is Saul Goodman. It's the same name as in the lawyer in Breaking Bad, Saul Goodman. But this Saul Goodman is not a fictive, dodgy lawyer character. It's a real person. And I'm Saul's friend in Facebook, and he has this video that I shared last week about like the brief history of Shiatsu, especially in the West. So this is kind of interesting. It has lots of similarities to what we do in Pemago, in a sense, from the level of principle. So Shiatsu was brought to Europe and US, the West, like in the late 60s, early 70s, like a lot of Buddhist teachings, yoga teachings, and stuff like this. And in Saul's presentation, he describes how, he's been involved with Shiatsu since day one, like literally when the first teachers from Japan came to the West. He's been studying it, and he said that in the early days the Shiatsu was very primitive. It was very primitive, and the way how it was before was that it wasn't very technical. It did have the elements of using the body. The Shiatsu masseur uses the body strongly and pushes with hands and does different kinds of presses with the thumbs specifically. Uses very strong holistic moves to remove and alleviate the whatever tensions are felt in the muscles, opening the joints in different ways, and then also gently pushing the internal organs through the belly. And also in Shiatsu, you literally massage the eyes and gums through the cheeks, and so you do go directly to internal organs as well. And so what Saul was saying, that early on it was really simple, really primitive. The teachers didn't give extensive commentaries of, in traditional Chinese medicine, there are, I think, 14 main energy meridians in the body, like energy channels in the body, and they stick acupuncture needles in these meridians and specific points, because they have various ways of diagnosis, how they define like what is causing this or that health problem. So for example, there is the liver meridian or heart meridian, lung meridian, all these meridians, energy channels related to all internal organs, and then few extra ones, and very technical type of shiatsu or acupuncture. They look into these channels in detail, and they want to find the exact point that where you stick the needle or where you press, that should then alleviate and affect healing. But so this is very technical way of doing shiatsu. But primitive shiatsu is kind of more primitive in the sense that, you look at the person as a whole, and then when you start giving him a treatment, you start sensing, where there are some tightness, where there are some tightness means stress and trauma stored in the body, which then over time starts causing different kinds of health problems. So in primitive shiatsu, in the early days of Western shiatsu, it was very simple. No discussion about all these energy channels and specific points and none of that. Just really simple, looking at the person as a whole and using just 3, 4, 5 different techniques that you then go very deep with, rather than having 20 or 30 different techniques and using them all. So technically much more simple. So this is how shiatsu was in the beginning, and then Saul said that then when a number of students became bigger, courses became bigger, then little by little Asian and Western shiatsu teachers, they came up with course syllabuses. So they created their own systems, and at that point there came more technical details, acupuncture points and all these meridians and whatnot. And so myself, so that was the main 2 phases of development. And I was fortunate to learn both the technical version and then the primitive version, but I always only, as a practitioner of shiatsu, I only did the primitive version. And I was talking about this as Tina was here. I was telling this same story of Saul's video about the history of Western shiatsu, and then I was thinking about this earlier today to myself, that there are clear similarities in what we do in Pemako style of Vajrayana Buddhism, kind of as a primitive example, and then we have the much more technical, verbally much more elaborated, practice-wise much more elaborated versions of Vajrayana that come from Tibet. And it kind of struck me that, oh heck, because Well, I don't really, just that Tibetan Vajrayana, it's much more elaborate, much more technical details. You need to know a whole lot of points before you even get started. And for example, a good example of this is visualizations. In Rainbow Body Yoga, we do very simple visualizations, but these are really the core, the heart visualizations of the whole Buddhist path. While in Tibetan Vajrayana practice, you have, just like you can see tankas, you have a central guru or a deity, and then elaborate set of deities around the main one, and then you have this symbol, that symbol, many other symbols, many other things, and these you are to visualize in detail. So isn't it interesting that when I realized it, I was like, yes. So get to the point, we want to, with our practice, we want to get to the point. And, I don't want to say that technically elaborate Shiatsu or elaborate tantric practice wouldn't work. Of course they work, but it's just a different way of expression. Just a different way. And yeah, primitive Shiatsu always spoke to me, and primitive Dharma, definitely, also. And of course, this there is a lot of confusion arising from this. Actually, in the world of Shiatsu also. So, like I said, I've done Shiatsu professionally for about 3.5 years, until like about 10 years ago. Then I stopped giving treatments. And I've seen a lot of different kinds of Shiatsu. I also studied Shiatsu in Japan briefly. By studying, I mean that I went to take treatments from 2 different Shiatsu professionals. And I've also went to take treatments from Shiatsu professionals here in Finland. And I just gotta say that, and this is kind of interesting, that same like in Dharma practice, yoga practice, we want to strike into the core. We want to find the core, the heart of our being. That's first and foremost. This is like the most basic requirement for successful Dharma practice. And it's exactly the same thing in Shiatsu. And maybe you can relate to this experience if you have had massage treatments, and it might be by appointment, or then your friend or spouse gave you some massage. But maybe the masseur or your friend just didn't do it properly. It was just on the surface tissues, and it didn't really, it felt nice, but it's just not getting deep in there. It's just not finding those really sweet spots. Do you understand what I'm saying? Have you had this experience, receiving a bad massage? So this is actually, it's exactly the same problem that we have in Dharma that there is in Shiatsu. That, there's a lot of bad Shiatsu. You might know 250, 500 different acupuncture points, and you might be, technically savvy, figuring out different connections, 5 elements in 5 organs, and then you use fancy needles put here and there, or do give pressure with your thumbs here and there, but if it doesn't cut to the heart of it, it's just, you get that feeling that, okay, this is nice, but this is not good enough. I remember I've probably told this story on some retreats before, but when I was in the monastery in Japan, there was this Taoist doctor called Yoshi who came to give acupuncture treatments to the practitioners in the monastery. And Yoshi was really wonderful man. My old friend from the monastery, Corey Hess, he has his own podcast, and Corey interviewed Yoshi like a year ago in his podcast. Corey's podcast is called, is it like Zen Embodiment with Corey Hess? So you can find Yoshi's interview there. But Yoshi came every month to the monastery to do treatments, and he used a special way of diagnosis. The way how he found out where is the biggest tension in the body mind, tension that is both in the body but also affects the mind, or my mental state, my emotional state. And he always he gave me maybe 5-6 treatments during the time when I was there, and he always put the needle in the same place, between the lowest vertebrae in my spine. So when he checked where the problem was, he always put me lying on my side on the mat, on tatami, and so I was lying on the side during the treatment, and then he took a needle, acupuncture needle, and then he put it inside the vertebrae, and then as he was pushing it in, he was asking me to tell him when it hits the sweet spot. And I remember how good it felt, because, really good healers, they have this, it's the aura of safety that you can trust. So all good healers have that. So, I was always waiting for Yoshi to come and do treatments and to get treated. And always when the tip of the needle hit my lower back, it was like, oh yes, that is the place. And as he was pushing it in, it was like, oh, it felt so good, and bam, then it hit the sweet spot. And then I had the effect of it was that I was maybe the treatments lasted for half an hour or something, and I would just lie there on my side with one needle in my lower back, and then he would take it out, and then I would feel completely transformed. Like my body became so soft, my mind became so clear, so calm, so settled, just because of one acupuncture needle in the right place. So then I had maybe like three treatments, and I asked Yoshi when the needle was again in my back. I wanted to see how deep the needle was. So I told him to, because the needle was against my lower back like this, I told him to keep the fingers like this when he pulls it out, so I can see how deep it was. And I kid you not when I say that it was this deep, like 10 centimeters deep in between my vertebrae. It was a big ass needle. And I was kind of stunned that, heck, wow, wasn't expecting that. I was thinking that it's maybe this much, but no, it was full 10 centimeters. And I've also had, many other acupuncture treatments, but none of them beat Yoshi's one needle primitive acupuncture. He was just really, really good, and still is, he's still around. But I haven't kept in contact with him since I left. And what is that primitiveness I'm talking about? It's simplicity. It's like a no-nonsense approach of doing Shiatsu, doing Dharma, living our lives. The no-nonsense spirit is what our basic nature is, isn't it? We don't need other ornaments. We don't need other masks, or this is not in any way reference to corona masks, but we don't need other ornaments or masks or, do you say, gowns, like dresses, except what the qualities of the natural state already are. It's our true being we are talking about. True being of clarity, freshness, purity, sobriety, sweetness, kindness, settledness, discrimination. Our very nature, our very spirit is no nonsense. No nonsense. There are these. I think that Zen tradition from ancient China and ancient Japan, there are many stories of Zen masters, students, and different people from peasants to lords and emperors coming to Zen masters, and they have a really good examples of this no-nonsense spirit, no-nonsense kind of style of Dharma. Maybe sometimes a bit blunt and rough. But anyway. Let's sit together. It's day 6. So our basic nature is easily recognized. You just feel soft and clear at this point of the retreat. All right, let's continue lying down. Just lie down, relax, and enjoy.